Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back. So in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play the fingerstyle version of Harvest Moon by Neil Young. Now, this is a really fun one to play to work on your natural harmonics in the 12th position. There's a lot of cool riffs in there. This song has 4 different parts for you to learn. Each of those are going to be about 4 to 8 bars long. So we're just going to go through each of those parts one at a time, and then at the end we'll do a slow playthrough of the whole thing with metronome so that you guys can try to play along. Let's jump right in and start the lesson. All right, part 1. So this is the riff. Okay, just those 2 measures. This riff repeats throughout the entire song. There's a bunch of important things that you need to know. Number 1 is where the slap is. So you see these X marks throughout the entire piece and the tab, and it's not a traditional slap like this modern slap that we've seen before. This is a backhand rake. So without any notes, it sounds like this instead of this. Okay, it's a similar sound, but it's softer. If you take a look at the riff, every time we have that X, that means we're doing this backhand rake like this. Okay, let's go through the riff now. First, we're going to start just hitting the D string by itself, and then we're going to do that backhand rake. Now, the things that you got to keep in mind is we're always alternating between the root and the 5th. On beats 2 and 4, we're always doing that backhand slap. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and okay. Always on beats 2 and 4, backhand slap. The other thing that you should keep in mind is the fingering here. So you should start with this 3rd and 2nd finger, so you can put your pinky down for that 2nd chord, and then your 1st finger down for the 3rd chord. The last thing I want to say here is on this little section right here, there's a lot of versions where it's just 3 hits. On this fingerstyle version, we added an extra hit there. It's kind of just like a space filler, or kind of like a echo type effect. Feel free to just do 3 or 4 hits there, okay? That is not like a really big deal. Like if you're adding some extra, just an extra strum there, it's not a big deal. And just play it the way that you think is the most comfortable. It'd probably be a little bit easier just to do the 3 hits. Okay, but it's up to you guys. Do the 3 or the 4 as I played it. The second measure, when you get to the okay, that's an interesting phrase. We're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. Okay, you just repeat that phrase twice in a row. That gives you the whole entire main phrase of this song and the intro. Okay, notice you can do the 3 hits or the 4 hits. Let's move on to part 2. All right, part 2 is the verse and the harmonic riff. A lot of cool sounds here. It's a little bit more complicated than the original riff. The original riff is just the harmonics. Okay, and since this is the fingerstyle version, the solo guitar version, we want to add the alternating bass. So we're adding that into the riff. So instead of just doing the riff by itself, we're adding this and the percussion. Now this is the one instance in the song where we are doing kind of one of those modern slaps. And that's because there's not a chord being played at the same time. Okay, it's in between those notes. So we go harmonic, harmonic, slap, and then to the second part. Now the other interesting thing that you have to note is that we're actually adding this note B, this bass note, with the harmonic at the same time, which this is kind of something pretty unusual, but it's not actually that hard to do. I find it easiest to use my 2nd finger to hit this 7th fret here. I'm plucking the 7th fret as the bass note, and then the edge of my finger here is just touching right there at the 7th fret harmonic. So I'm plucking those with my right hand at the same time like that. So the whole riff the whole harmonic riff sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's just the harmonic riff. A couple other tips on the harmonic riff. By the way, this is the hardest part of the song. So this is the thing that you should spend the most time practicing. Also, it's the most fun thing in the song too, so it'll be the most fun thing to practice anyways. But a couple tips on this harmonic bit. To try to get more volume out of it, you can't leave your finger down. Okay. Now, if you can't do harmonics at all, if you're really struggling with harmonics, this might not be the best song for you because it's got a lot of harmonics in it. But maybe this is a good one for you to practice your harmonics now. But here's the idea. You want to make sure that you have perfect placement, which means exactly over the 12th fret. Okay. Not back here, not up here, but right there above the 12th fret. Okay, so it actually looks like my finger from this angle. I know it looks like my finger is past the 12th fret, but the contact point where my finger is actually touching the string is exactly above that 12th fret. That's how you get the best sound on the harmonic. Okay. Second thing is after you play the harmonic, you want to make sure that you lift your finger off. Now, don't go overboard with this like that. Like that's what everyone always tries to do at first. They try to go too fast. Just play it, make sure it's playing, and then lift off. Okay. If you leave your finger down, the harmonic still works, but it gets muffled out, and it's just not as loud as opposed to, right? Way louder. It's just able to sustain longer too. It's just able to sustain longer too. So when you're working on that, cycle it like this as a loop. Okay. The last tip I want to show you guys is after you play those first two, slap, then we've got 3 in a row. Okay. And the best thing for you to do is switch your right hand fingering at that point. So go 3rd finger, 2nd finger, slap. Then the best thing to do would switch to go 3rd finger, 2nd finger, 1st finger, like that. Okay. The second half of the harmonic phrase, after you do this, we want to start playing the vocal melody. Okay, so the vocal melody is just this. Okay, we're just adding that with the alternating bass and the slaps. Okay, and remember, we're actually not doing slaps here, we're doing the backhand breaks. So it's harmonic riff. Okay, and then the backhand thing there, backhand to get these notes, this B note, okay, and I'm playing the 4th, and we're playing the 4th fret here so that when we do this slap, it gives us kind of a safety net so we don't get a bunch of extra notes. Now, if you don't do that, that's okay because those notes are basically the correct harmony. That's the harmony over the E minor anyways. So, okay, slap. Okay, then another B note open. Okay, and that's the rest of the phrase. Okay, now last one, slapping, and we're aiming, for this highest string here. But if you, catch some extra strings there, it's okay again because the harmony on this part is the E minor. So a lot of these open strings are in that E minor chord anyway, so that's okay. That's the second half of the harmonic riff. Okay, then you repeat. Okay, and that's the variation on the second half. Sounds like this. Follow the tab there. Make sure you keep doing the same slaps and everything. Okay, now we're going to the second half of the verse part. And this is basically just this is kind of just a chord passage. There's no vocal melody here. So we're just playing these 2 chords, D and D major 7. That's the basic riff. You notice sometimes you can also add this on the D major 7. You can kind of add like a little arpeggio. Again, this is just kind of like space filler, just filling up some space with a little bit of variation. So that would sound like this. Okay, so it's the same idea, just kind of adding a little arpeggio there. You play that phrase twice through measure 12, then you go back to the harmonic riff and just repeat everything that we just did again. So everything that we just played is repeated twice. Harmonic riff to the kind of the answer, the harmonic riff, which is kind of like the call phrase, and then the answer phrase, which is the kind of the chordal D to D major 7. Okay, so there you go, that's part 2. Let's take a look at the pre-chorus now. So the pre-chorus has another instance immediately of a new type of harmonic. So this is the part that where the vocalist, the background vocals come in and they're just singing like, ooh. We wanted to have that included without getting in the way of these chords down here. So we're adding it as a harmonic. Let's talk about how to do that because that's the first phrase. Basically what you're doing is you're just taking the kind of pad parts of these two fingers, your second and third finger, and actually you can use any fingers you want, it doesn't really matter. And we're just aiming for the 12th fret exactly above the fret. Again, the placement is important, but even if you're off by like quite a bit, like if I'm all the way up here, you can still get the harmonic if you hit it, you know, nice and quick like this. It's a really quick kind of just tap, just like that. So if you can kind of maybe practice like that, just real quick tap, oops. And then once, you know, and once you hit it in the right spot, it plays that harmonic. So that's what we're starting part 3, the pre-chorus with. And we're gonna try to have that ringing out just for the quarter note. Now this thing is a pickup note. It starts on the and right before beat 1. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Okay, then after that phrase, we go back to the main riff. So let's talk about kind of how to do this part, okay? So first you start on the and as a pickup note, okay, right there. And then right after you do that, you're gonna play this note G on the E string, okay, with our thumb over the neck. So like this, 2, 3, 4, and 1, okay? Then go straight into a slap with the backhand, okay? Then we're gonna alternate between this note G and this note D on the open D string. Okay, and then just try to follow the melody. We're using our second finger and first finger to play the melody notes. So just kind of, I'll play it really slowly and then see if you can follow along. 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Slap. Now, going into the second half of this phrase, it's just that it just goes back into our main riff, okay? So then you just alternate back and forth between those two parts twice, and that is section 3, the pre-chorus. All right, finally, let's go to the chorus. So the chorus, again, has kind of a pickup note. And then the real song, the harmony, is something like this. So what we're trying to do to emulate that, it's basically just play an E minor chord with harmonics. It's different harmonic skill this time. This time we're doing all the way across. Again, I like to use my middle finger. I feel like it's the easiest for me to get straight across, parallel to the frets. The first finger, you know, you can do it, but it just kind of feels harder to get in position. Second finger like this feels pretty good. So again, it's like a pickup note, and we're just kind of doing we're doing kind of a roll. Third finger, second finger, first finger, thumb. And remember how we talked about earlier, you want to lift off this. Again, just after you play the notes, try to lift off. The opening part with the harmonic. let's take a look at those first two measures. So we have the harmonic at first, and then we're going to start with the kind of alternating bass. So we're going to this bass note. Okay, then we're going to a higher bass note. Then we're going to this higher E here with this fingering. You can use first finger and pinky, or second and pinky. In this section, you can actually pick different fingerings. Pick the one that feels comfortable, making sure that you have some finger left over to play that second fret there, okay? So all together. Okay, now we're moving into an A chord. So set that up to where you're gonna, after you go the, right when you hit that first A note, you're going to play this A chord with this fingering here. Okay, so measure 39, we're going into an A chord, alternating the bass, and then we're doing our first dropout. Then we're doing our first dropout, and dropout is just where we remove some part of it, either usually like a percussion or usually like a bass part. It's just so that when we come back in with the bass or the percussion or whatever it is that we dropped out, it sounds really cool when it comes back in. So that's what we're doing here. We're doing a dropout. So and then back into it. So just do the, just play the melody as written like that. Moving on to measure 41. This is where we're bringing back in the percussion. Okay. So there, just try to follow the fingering that's written on the tabs. Okay. At the beginning there, we have this pull off. It's a double pull off. We're pulling 3, 2, open like that. If you struggle with that, just simplify that down to something like and that's almost just as cool too. Just don't let this one measure slow you guys down, okay? Measure 47. Again, going back to this A chord, measure 43. Okay, and again here, we are doing another dropout for the main chorus thing. This is where he's saying the title of the song, On This Harvest Moon. And that just brings us to the outro, which is just the intro. Again, just kind of let your audience know that you're finishing the song. Just slow it down the last couple of times. Something like this. Slowing it down. And then a really slow just arpeggio to finish it off. It's just to let your audience know that, hey, the song is over, it's time to start applauding, okay? Anyways, so that's all the parts of this song. So don't let any of these little small details get you stuck. The main things that you have to be able to do on this is the backhand percussion. Without the percussion, the song still kind of works, but it just doesn't have the same groove to it. And honestly, it's just not as fun to play like that. So that's one of the things that I think you need to be able to do. So let's start with that. Make sure that you get the fingerings right on the main phrase. And past that, it's a great study on these harmonics. So now let's just do a slow playthrough so you guys can try to play along. I'm going to have the metronome clicking very slow at 65. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's it. So thank you so much for watching this, guys. I had a lot of fun teaching this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.